I've mentioned in other videos how much I love Disney, and I do have a Christmas tree in our main family room devoted entirely to Mickey and his friends and all the great Disney characters. And normally I've got a black Mickey head with a Santa hat on top of my tree. And this year, after going to Disney World, I decided it was time for a change, and I am going to show you guys how to make this really cute Fantasia Mickey Christmas tree topper. All right, to get started on this project, you're going to need a few things, quite a few things actually. You're going to need a hat template. The template I use to make this size project is available on my Cricut design space. I will put a link in the description. If you do not have Cricut or Cricut design space, I will work on putting a template up on Etsy. It'll be like a $2 to $3 purchase just because you have to have a price on there. You can't just give something away for free, as far as I know. That's the only way I can think of that would allow me to share a template with you. So you need a template. You need glitter, iron-on, heat transfer vinyl. You can cut these shapes out by hand if you don't have a Cricut, so you can still do this project. I'll give you other ways that you can do it as well. You're going to need a good pair of scissors for your fabric. You need blue felt. I used a decent bodied felt. You are also going to need blue velvet fabric. This is velvet on one side, and then it's just got this like dull, shiny side on the back side. You will also need cotton batting. You will need hemming tape. I do not have any left. I used it all in the initial stages of the setup of this project, but you will need it. You'll need an iron of some sort. I have my mini heat press. You're going to need Mickey ears. These are 3-inch pieces of cardboard, essentially, it feels like, that were covered in black fabric. I actually pulled them off of a cheap fake Mickey headband that I got from Dollarama. So you can do that as well. That was much easier. Again, they're about 3 inches. They're going to fit our hat pretty well in terms of size. You're going to need a hot glue gun. I'm using my favorite cordless hot glue gun. Link is down below to the Amazon page for it. And I believe that is all. So let's get started. I'm just going to move this stuff aside because I don't need it. What I did was I laid down my template on a piece of felt that was folded in half. So you cut 2 of those out of the felt. And you do the same thing with the fabric. It's easier with the velvet, I find, to put the good side facing inwards. So I put my fabric down on the table, I put my template on, and I cut it. So you're going to cut the hat template, but you also need to cut a long strip for the brim. The pattern has a quarter, sorry, lost my thought. The pattern has a 1/4 inch seam allowance built into it to build the size. Then you're going to need to make a tube as well that is about 1.5 inches tall by 21.5 inches long for this size. And you probably end up with like longer tubing than what you need, but I'd rather have more than not enough. So you do not need a sewing machine for this project. Once this was done, everything was cut out, what I did was I put down my felt fabric. I took my hemming tape, which is basically, there's actually a scrap piece of it right here, if you can see. It's just like this fibrous tape that you get at a craft store or a sewing store, and it fuses fabrics together. It's usually used when you want to hem a pair of pants. So what I did was I took my template cut piece of felt, I covered the whole thing with the fusible webbing. Then I put my cut velvet piece on top of that, covered it with a piece of Teflon fabric protector. You can use parchment paper if you don't have the Teflon sheet, that's fine. And I just ran the iron over it for about 30 seconds, moving the iron constantly, and it fused it together with the felt. Once both pieces were done, I put both velvet sides facing each other, so it looked something like this. And I sewed a 1/4 inch all the way around. If you do not have a sewing machine, it's not the end of the world. You would just basically watch your 1/4 inch all the way around and just use hot glue and secure it with hot glue. But the same thing, you want to do it so that the blue velvet is touching on both sides. So when you're done, you essentially end up with your hat. I've already flipped it inside out, but you can see I've got the blue felt on the inside, and we have our hat on the the blue velvet on the outside for that. So what we want to do now is the same thing with your tube. I'll actually show you on here how I did the tube. We'll just use a smaller piece of it so it's not wasting extra fabric. So this is roughly 2 inches wide, and I need to make a 1.5 inch tube with it. So I need to take off, I have a 1/2 inch of playroom. If I take my hot glue gun and I measure a 1/2 inch, which is 1 row, run a bead of hot glue as straight as can be across that. Take it, I'm going to fold my edges together and very carefully press it so I don't burn myself. I'm going to let that dry and just come back and show you the flipping it inside and out after. But for the sake of time, the magic of television, I also sewed the tube, my 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then I filled it with cotton batting so that it makes a ring shape. Not a tube, like a snake, sorry. So what I want to do now is just put it so that it's going to be halfway down on here. And it's going to go all the way around the back. So I want to choose my front side and my back side. And the seam is going to go at the bottom. But I want to put my pattern on first. So I'm going to cut, use different scissors. I don't want to use my fabric scissors on this. I've cut out a moon and stars, just like what's on Mickey's Fantasia hat. And this idea for a tree topper came from my recent trip to Disney. They had all kinds of merchandise celebrating the anniversary of Fantasia. And I almost bought the official Mickey Fantasia hat to use as a topper, but I found it was a bit too big for what would fit on my Christmas tree. So I opted not to. So instead, I figured I can make the hat myself. So I want to start with the moon. I'm just going to get this all set up in the meantime. I'm turning my heat press on in the meantime. We'll work on here for now, just like that. So I want to cut my moon. I'm going to actually trim it a bit more. I don't need all that extra carrier sheet on there. And the only thing is if you don't have a Cricut and you're trying to cut the carrier sheet out and you're going to have to cut it to size. You won't be able to do a lip around it the way this has, like a border. It's not the end of the world. It'll just be a little bit harder to peel that carrier sheet off. in the end. And I did draw out the design on my template just so I had an idea of where I was going to position things. And on the Cricut Design Space file, when you download it, you'll be downloading it already laid out front and back. I've designed both on there. So put that star up here, just making sure it's going to fit. Then we have another star here, and all my other stars as well. Having a Cricut, though, it made doing this project so much easier. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm just cutting this very close because I want to try and iron these all on in one shot. Just gotta make sure that none of your vinyl is touching. So now I'm going to go in with my handy dandy mini press, and I'm just, as you can see, pressing down, making sure that it fuses to the fabric. And I'm just doing this to protect the vinyl, the velvet, sorry. I don't want to melt it too much. And there's a chance, depending on the type of velvet, that it will melt. So they're on there. I'm going to go through and just hot peel. Oh, that's not ready, so we're not going to hot peel. While we wait for that to cool a little bit, let's see if this is dry. So this feels dry to me. So it's hot glued together. I'm just going to flip it right side out now, just like that, and you have a tube. It's glued together, and then you would stuff that with your batting. So as you can see, I'm starting to peel off the carrier sheet from the stars. And we are going to go and give this one more press once we take all these off, to make sure they're really on there. Just like so. So they're on there. We're going to put our Teflon sheet back on and just give it a quick once over. Just like that, just to make sure it's secured on there, which it is. Quite nicely. We're going to flip it over now. Flip our other piece over, our template, and now we're just going to put the stars on the back of the hat because I do have a 360-degree Disney tree hopefully this year. And I say hopefully because I bought a turntable for it, but the adapters that came with it do not fit the base of the tree I normally use for my Disney tree. So we're going to try 3D printing one and hope that that works. So just going over my stars again with my heat press. So let's see if we can peel them off. They do need to cool just a bit. You can try fanning it as well if you need to. So these are peeling off nicely. Again, if you have any lifts like there, we're going to go back over it real quick with our mini press or our iron or whatever. And depending on the type of heat transfer vinyl that you buy, your heat and time settings might be a little bit different. This I find, I forget the brand, I believe it's Sorcerer brand. I order it online usually. They're usually pretty good with their vinyl and their timing. So for some reason this one here at the bottom wanted to stick a little bit to the Teflon sheet, which is very strange. Normally it doesn't, but it is pressing back down and on, so that's okay. Could be my Teflon sheet is a bit too old. All right, so now we have our Sorcerer Mickey hat. We are going to now add our brim to it. So I just want to see, the best way to do this is probably to have a seam at the back. Yeah, or actually let's do our seam right there on the side. No, we're gonna do our seam at the back. So the easiest way to do this is going to be very slowly. We are going to start by running our, just move this out of the way, turn our iron off, don't need it any longer. I'm going to run our bead of hot glue around the bottom of the hat in the front first. Just like so. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to put the seam side of the tube down. I'm just going to let that set for a minute. Just like that. So now it's on there. So now we are going to open the hat up, because it is a tree topper, and using our hot glue on our tube here, just run it around. Picking off the stray pieces of hot glue as they're on there. That's the only thing about working with hot glue, is it gets quite thready, if that's a real word. So now I just want to take it and really get lots of glue in here, because we want to fuse the batting together. Like so. And it's the only thing is now we're waiting on this to dry. I'm trying to very carefully with my fingers and you can see I haven't secured it underneath yet because I want to hide that seam a little bit, I think. I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So as the glue is starting to set up, I'm able to come over and pinch it together. So I'm going to get in here with the hot glue gun again. And very carefully pull that over that edge. It's the only thing now is we're waiting. So I am going to let this dry, and then I'll come back and show you how we're going to finish it off. So we are back. I have burned my fingers about 20 million times. All good. Things we do for a fun craft, right? So I have gone ahead and attached the rest of the rim of the hat to the actual hat. All I did here was fold some fabric, hot glued it, and then hot glued it just to hide that seam. Again, nobody's going to really notice. One of the reasons why I did not buy the official Sorcerer Mickey hat at Disney when I was there was that not only was it too large for our Christmas tree, but I kind of like this added detail that the Sorcerer Mickey headband ears had, and it was that it had this like gold trim around it. So I bought some gold rope trim. I got this at our dollar store, but you can get it at basically any craft store. Any fabric store should have it. It's usually used for curtains. And I'm just gonna tie one end in a knot because I don't know how long I'm going to need for the other end yet. We are again going to get out our friend Mr. Hot Glue Gun in a second. But first, we are going to take it and tie a bow. And this is what the other hat, the actual ears had, that the hat did not. So the headband had it, but the hat did not. I don't need to trim this. I actually cut it pretty well to size. So before we tie that in a knot, we're just gonna spool that back up, knot it, and then just cut off that edge. It will fray a little bit, but that's okay. It's gonna add to the look. So again, just move that knot as far down as I can. Take my fabric scissors and give it a cut-a-roo. There we go. So before we glue this on, I want to be able to come in and tie it first, just to ensure that we get it front and center. I'm being very picky with it. I know it's just I'm supposed to be tying a bow. I get it, but I do want to make it as nice as possible. This is going to go on my tree for years and years and years, hopefully. So there we've got our knot and our bow. I actually don't need to glue it because the ears, once they go on, are going to hold that in place, I think. So now to add our ears, I'm just taking, like I said, I had the headband that I bought at the dollar store. I'm just going to take that, run and because it's dollar store, it's not exactly the best quality, so it did come off of the side of the hat of the headband very easily. Just going to glue that in place, hold it so it sets like so. Do the other side now. Again, holding this ear in place. I lied it. The bow did move a little bit, but that's okay. And there we have our Mickey, Fantasia Mickey Christmas tree topper.